Hi, Jade. How have you been?
Hi, Christina. I've been great. Thank you.
So, a little quick intro. Jade was a previous client. I think we worked together a year ago, and we had built you a really cool workbook type slash journal app for your startup. So, I wanted to just give you some time to talk about what your app is about and where you got the idea. And yeah, just kind of let's start there.
Cool. Okay, thank you. So in my career, I started as a hairdresser back when I was 15, and I was managing the salon at 23, and I didn't really have a lot of business experience. I then changed industries and went into photography and graphic design, and then ended up doing business advice for small businesses. And along the way, I was looking for a product or something that I could use to help me keep all of the information in one place and also have the correct information. Obviously, back when I was 23, there wasn't so much Googling and there wasn't so many templates available. At the moment, there's so many available that it's quite overwhelming. So I got this idea to bring all of my knowledge into one place, where people could fill out their plans and ideas and edit it at any time from their phone or their laptop. Yeah, so that was kind of how it came about, and I wanted to make it creative and fun. So I didn't want it to be just a boring Word document, um, like the templates available online.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction. Can you tell us a little bit more about that part of your process when you got your idea to actually bringing it about? Because I read your testimonial and it was like a really good story about finding someone. And then you didn't start out with me particularly. You went to a different group. And so like, how was that kind of process
Oh,
there?
the process was very long, to be honest. I didn't realize it was going to be so hard. So the first group I worked with, they were in Sydney, and they loved my idea, and we had a couple of meetings, and I thought that it was going to be a good match, and then they ghosted me, so I didn't hear back from them. And I had that kind of moment of going, oh, have they just kind of thought this is a great idea and then went on and did it, but never heard from them again. I tried some no code apps myself. So I tried a few of those, and then also tried OneDrive, not OneDrive, sorry, the Microsoft, but OneNote. I had it all in OneNote. So I tried multiple different things. It probably took me about a year, and then I just put a Facebook post in one of our groups in WA, and that's how I found you. And it was awesome that you could kind of see my vision and understand what I wanted to do. But then we still had to go through that process again, didn't we, of like finding the right platform, which is pretty much been my biggest struggle. Is I have the idea, I'm really excited about it, I've got all of the content created, just finding the right place to actually put it that's cost effective for me, but also for the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's interesting that you kind of when you had to find a few different kind of people and groups to kind of work with, and then I think it's also interesting that you mentioned that finding actually it wasn't really about finding the right team, but it was more about the next step, which is finding the right platform to work in, because I do remember having that discussion with you and saying, hey, I really love your idea. Well, first of all, I think you had everything put together in this like nicely packaged PDF document, and it was like fully formed, and it was, I think that was like a great, full disclosure, you were like my first official no code fully mobile app, because I've done a lot of no code stuff, but it was like website apps. It wasn't like a little app that you would do on your phone. And I thought it was brilliant because you had everything. You had all the content laid out. You knew exactly what you wanted, so I could go, okay, this is exactly how I need to kind of create those pages and those screens and get it together. And yeah, we did have a back and forth with kind of figuring out what platform um, to go with. I think we first started out with Adalo, and I still think Adalo is a really great tool for a lot of use cases. And I think it was a great first version of your app, actually. Um, and then let's talk about how you went from kind of Adalo to where you are now, which I believe is Notion, right?
Yeah. So I think I had to reassess. I had 88 people using the app. Some were actually free. So I think I was going okay after about a year. But at that year point, I had a few people unsubscribe. And in that, I asked them some questions, and like I got the content was great, but they wanted to be able to download their content and use it in a PDF, which is something that we couldn't do at the time. And I kind of just started to reassess the whole thing. Like, we put so much work into it, but I was like, it's just not quite working how I want it to work, because it's almost like a diary with the ability to download, but also have it's quite interactive. So people could go from, if they were doing, say, their goals, and then they got some other ideas, they could go straight to the brain dump section. So the flexibility to be able to jump all around, which Adalo did really do well. But at the end of the day, I think it was missing just those couple of things that were really important to my clients, which was the ability to download. So I actually had a look at Notion and realised that it's quite a flexible platform to use. Obviously, it's not set up to do what I'm doing. But I took it back to basics and thought, I'm going to put all the content in there and retest, because I still think at the moment, I think it's a great idea. I can't find anything else similar, but I don't want to quite go and invest $100,000 to do an app that's going to be like fully native, that can be built exactly how I want. So I guess I'm still testing the concept in that way. But at the moment, Notion is really good. I've got all the content in there. Or do you want the disadvantages?
Yeah, go for it. I think that's a really great learning process, right? You obviously will win some and lose some. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's what I've learned so much. There is just no perfect platform for what anyone's trying to do. Adalo was fantastic for analytics, so I could see if people were using the app. I could see what areas that they were going to. So what was the most popular part? Once now I'm in Notion, I've got no analytics. I can't see. I can see when someone's duplicated. I can't see that they're using it or not. So actually the only way I found out that someone was using it was because I had one of the videos not set up properly, and it asked them to come into my Google account, and I was like, oops, obviously that's not set up yet. But yeah, so Notion is great for what I'm doing. It means they can download it. And also I've also put everything into Canva. So I love Canva myself. I think it's great and easy to use and a great tool, and it gives them the flexibility to be able to edit and add their own logos. But I have had one person say to me that they don't like Canva, so then they won't use the app. So I think, another lesson learned is you're never going to keep everyone happy. And through this whole process, I've just had to really remember what I'm doing this for, and it's to help people in small business that are creative. So at the moment, Notion's working great. I didn't get a lot of those people, so I unsubscribed them all from the payment gateway, so they're not paying for the other one anymore. But I didn't get any of them sign up for the Notion one, unfortunately. So whether or not they maybe felt a little disheartened. So I'm back to square one in that way, and it's all been like a learning curve. And I guess as well, this is a low cost product, so people haven't invested a lot of money in it. But so far, Notion and Adalo working great. Oh, and I have the payment gateway set up through my Squarespace website. So with Adalo, that was our main problem, was the payment gateway. We tried so many different ways, didn't we, to get that to work. And I think if I did it again, I would have researched that a little bit more, just because it's quite hard to get, everything working together. We had Stripe and PayPal, and then I ended up having Kajabi in there, and that actually worked fantastically once we got it set up. But I was paying $300 a month for the Kajabi platform. So just having to reassess that.
Yeah, wow, Kajabi is really expensive. I didn't think it was that expensive. I thought it was like 99 maybe a month, but
that's because it's in US dollars. Sorry, I'm talking in Australian dollars.
Okay.
So I had a couple of courses set up in there as well, which meant I needed the medium offer. I loved the product, and I'll probably go back to Kajabi, but I couldn't see the value in it while I'm at the very beginning trying to get the app out there.
Yes. I think that's another trade-off is you either pay for something that's, ready off the shelf, or if you're kind of using some custom option that really will hit maybe 60 to 70% of what you need and want, but then maybe that trade-off is it takes a long time to develop, or you can have something up and running that's really quick, but then you have to pay them because you're buying basically that convenience. And a lot of people, I now that I've done a few apps now, I think a lot of clients don't really grasp that until kind
Yeah.
of we have to sit down and go, hey, this is kind of how that's going to happen, and then you need to decide, like, is time more important to you, or is getting those features
Hmm.
that you really need more important to you? And then, having them kind of figure out what they want and then moving forward. So, um,
Yeah, definitely. And I think a big learning curve that I didn't realize is like in the tech industry, like App Store and Google Play, I had one time when Google Play changed their terms and conditions, or something happened, and my app didn't cover it, and all of a sudden it sent me into this frantic like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? I've got people using it, and it's not passing their qualifications, and that was
mhm,
another point where I went, this is taking me away from what I find that's really important to me, which is really helping the businesses. Because yeah, tech is ever changing, completely always changing. So you've got to be onto that. And yeah, like the updates was much more intense than I realized. Like in Adalo, it was quite easy, but just the process
mhm.
was more challenging than I thought.
Yeah, I think that's also something that now that I've done that with you, I always try and kind of like, in a way, kind of take those lessons learned and tell them, like, hey, just so you know, if you want to make it native, there's a whole process, and it's better that you keep me on kind of your roster to maintain that for you, because it's not like Adalo where you just click publish or it just publishes it automatically. You have to download everything, then you have to upload. So every single time you do it, it takes a half a day. And that's just for you to package, and get the app ready and then put it into the platforms. And then what happens is basically they themselves take about, I think it was 48 hours on average,
Yeah,
to kind of go through your app and make sure it follows the rules and is up to date on their terms and conditions. And then they'll say, like, yes or no, you can upload your app to their platforms. And then if they find that you still have things where it's not working, or they think that it's not following the rules, they're going to make you fix it and then re-upload. And then
yeah,
that's another half day of, like, just uploading, not even like fixing the items that they mention. And I think it's
yeah,
important for them because you're putting this product on their marketplace and they're quality controlling it, but it's also, um, it's a big investment, I would say. Yeah. So, like, now I just tell clients, like,
yeah,
hey, this is your MVP. You're still testing it out. Let's do it very simple. Just put it online. And there are platforms like Adalo, Flutter, Flutter Flow, and Bubble that let you do that. And so you can just, like, kind of get it to a point where then when it's worth putting on the platforms, then we can put it on the platforms. Um,
yeah. I
so I
think
think,
that's a big lesson as well, isn't it? Like, you think, oh, I've designed an app and it has to be on the App Store. So I've really realized now that that's not as important as I thought. Like, yes, I've got good analytics and stuff like that, but I wasn't getting any organic traffic through the App Store. It was all coming from me on socials, or when I got an influencer to help me. And so, yeah, now it's not on the App Store at all. It's all just through my website. And that works great for me for now. Yeah, so definitely lesson learned there. And I think with updates as well, I had this idea that I just wanted to do updates when they came to me, or when I got feedback. I think it would be worth kind of setting, like, the 4 dates of the year that you're going to kind of do an update, and kind of build on that so that it's worth doing it, rather than going, oh, I've got an idea, let's fix this or let's change that. And there has to be some flexibility, but I think, yeah, having that a bit of a structure in your update plan.
that's a really great point. I think, yeah, I really like that, and I'll probably take that with me. I think the first thing is, like, letting clients know, like, you should definitely put this on and let your users use it and see if a lot of people want that feature, then you can add it. Not
Yeah,
just because one person has said something and then you feel like you need to change it, because one person might say something, but maybe 10 other people might not want that. And unless that person is paying more than the 10 other people that are using this app, there's no point in just serving one person rather than the 10 people that are using it. So,
yeah,
like, I think that's a great point, is like having maybe like a 3, 6, 12 month kind of update plan and kind of having that in there. It also gives you time to figure out a lot of the things that you need to figure out. I think, in terms of like Adalo, it lets you make changes very quickly and very swiftly. But then like, is it really worth making it? Are you making it in the right way? Is it following the
Mhm.
logic that you've set up and all of that? I think that really needs to be figured out before kind of pushing it
Yeah.
out and making sure that.
And
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was just thinking, like, so I got very invested in the feedback that I got. So
Hmm.
anything that I got that was negative, I wanted to fix straight away. And now it's funny, I look back and go, oh, there's always going to be someone saying something negative. And also in that testing process, I chose probably the wrong people. Like, awesome that I had some friends and family able to help me out, but I think I needed to almost pay someone to test me that was my actual target audience, not just using my friends. And it was school holidays at the time, and everyone was really busy, and no one was answering me, and I got quite frustrated with that process. So I think having some money in your budget for that testing is really important. And yeah, taking on that when someone's going to say something negative, then yeah, you can take it on, but don't make massive changes just because of that one person.
I think you also mentioned two key points that I want to kind of come back to. One was like the fact that you said finding the right person to test the app because that person is going to be using it from the perspective of like someone that you're actually trying to market to. And the second one is like um, actually finding the right group of users for your app. And signing those people up. So right now, actually, after I completed your app and after we kind of have those like little bits of like catch up sessions, I started telling my clients like before we even launch your app, you should start with a landing page and you should start collecting emails. You should start marketing the app. Take the mock-ups that we've done and start selling your app to see if these features are what your people want. And then from
Yeah,
that group of people, get them to maybe a beta testing um, phase. I
yeah,
think I think you literally just helped me connect the two dots, right? Because um, I've always kind of just let them know like you need to start creating a landing page, and that's now a part of my service package. It's like I will help you do a landing page. It's very simple. It's one page.
mhm,
There's no fluff. It's just your app, but we need to get it out into the world and let people know about this, so that
yeah,
you can have users come on the moment you launch, and then you can start seeing like what their responses is. I think because of there is one client right now that I feel like he's really stuck in his own head, and he's like, yeah, I do have people that are testing for me. They're my friends and family. Um,
yeah,
but like you said, are they just being your friends and family and helping you out, or are these the people you're actually wanting to use your app? Because the psychology and
yeah,
all of that is completely different, right? And the use case that they're going to be using your app is completely different. Something that
yeah,
I am now like I actively put into my design process is I sketch out the scenario in which a person actually is going to take out their phone and use your app, because that's when
yeah,
we know that that is the moment that your app is going to be used in that person's life, right? Um, and so, yeah, I'm definitely going to show him this interview and say,
yeah,
you need to find more testers that are like who you think are
absolutely.
actually going to use your app.
Well, because
And
what did my friends and family say? They're like, "Oh, you're amazing. This is amazing," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. It's really good." And then when I got that negative feedback, and I was like, "Oh, but I've already tested it." But I was really testing with the wrong people, I think.
mhm,
And just quickly going back to launching, so I've launched courses and I've launched the app. And launching to me is a really stressful process. I find it not fun. And I've learned a lot of lessons from that. So we're about to, I'm working with a lady that's helping me with my Facebook ads, and I'm going to relaunch in January. So it's still available right now, but
mhm,
we're going to do a relaunch, and I've made a little quiz and talking about like how, whether or not the app is for you. And that's going to be like the lead magnet, or to get people interested. And I'm taking a lot more time and patience rather than before. I rushed it and I just like tried to get people into the app because that's all I wanted to do. So yeah,
mhm,
definitely learned a lot more on that now, that the landing page and having those things set up. Oh, and I guess having the right people. So the first, when I did do the launch, I don't know if you remember, but the lady that I was getting to help me with the Facebook ads, we just didn't gel. And I
Oh.
thought, no, but I get along with everyone. So, so we'll work through this. But I just had a feeling that it wasn't right. And I actually wasted, like, it was only a few $100s, but still every bit of money counts in that launch because we weren't gelling together. So I think finding the right people to help you makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. I think I really also enjoyed seeing your social posts, especially when you're kind of pushing your apps though. I feel like that was like everything was coming to life. And that was when I was like, oh yes, the app that I made for you is getting
Yes.
pushed out. And it was like it's becoming a thing, right? Because as designers we're like always heads down working and just working. But then once you kind of see, oh, my client is really pushing this app, this thing that we built together. And it's really a collaborative process when you work with me because I like try to make
It
sure
is.
like everything that you want I can try and implement as much as possible. But like seeing the moment when you pushed out all the social content, I was like, yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I want to see. And so it's brilliant. And I also love the fact that you're saying like now I want to do a lead magnet even before they kind of sign on. I want to make sure they're the right people for the app.
Yeah.
But I also want to kind of take a step back and say two things. One is like without the negative feedback, which actually in turn is more positive now because you've gotten so much out of that and you've kind of in hindsight had you have learned so much from it. I think those feedback are still really important and relevant.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of how we deal with it internally. And then also even if you didn't go as fast as you did, you know, in the year and a half that I got to know you, I don't think you would have learned this much if you didn't kind of
Yeah.
power through, right? And so like
Yeah.
that's all part of the process, and I love that because like yeah, where are you going to learn all of these amazing insights if had you not gone faster? It was like you gone fast enough to learn that you need to slow down, and
Yeah,
I really love
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. And I think you're always learning. Like when I'm working with Shannon at the moment, and she's asked me like, how did I get the most downloads the first time? And I realized it's really through working with like, well, not necessarily influencers, but other business coaches that have similar target audiences to me. And I've actually got a list of people that I want to talk to about it. Yeah, whereas before I don't know, I think I just thought I could just do it by myself and just use Facebook ads and that would be the way. And I kind of just had my mindset on that. Whereas now I've realized that, yeah, for me, like the user generated content works better. But I needed to test it first. So,
mm,
yeah, the more I can get of that. And I had in my mind, was like, but I don't want to pay somebody that's not actually using my app to promote it, which I
mm,
still don't want to do because I feel like that's dodgy. But then the people that I was sending it to say, here, would you like to use it for free? And then in exchange, could you please, do like something in your stories? Um, I think I just chose the wrong people. It didn't quite work all the time. And also I thought, you send out 10 messages in a day and no one answers and then you get sad. Now I'm like, right, I know that the conversion is so small that you really
mm.
have to like warm that relationship up and talk to people and build a connection before they're going to be willing to show your product. Yeah, so more lessons in there.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you, in terms of like the way you're marketing, how did you think your old marketing tactics were? And obviously they didn't work as well as anticipated, which is why you kept on switching and switching and finding the new ones. So how was that process from finding like, you know, using your original marketing tactic to kind of where you are now? And then what do you think you'll do differently in the future as you get more data points from what you're doing now?
Yeah, my biggest thing is I'm going to take the emotion out of it. So it really is about numbers. It's about the data. So, when you look at my analytics of my website and I get 30 people in a week, like obviously I'm not going to convert. So, I thought I put in all this effort and made all these amazing posts, but yeah, I don't think I was like test. Well, I say test, track, and repeat when you're marketing. So I need to take a bit of my own advice in that way and look at what my client or my potential clients like, and keep doing that. So yeah, I'm focusing a bit on TikTok at the moment. I've had no conversions on TikTok, but I'm definitely having fun. yeah, so I think moving forward, I love my little quiz that I've done. So that hasn't been released yet, but I think that's going to be, well, hoping that's going to be a good one. And yeah, collecting those leads. Also platform wise, I've changed again because I changed from Kajabi. I had all my email subscribers in there, so yeah, trying to get that all reset up again. And just it's about being consistent. I think was one thing where I didn't, because I do also work other jobs.
Mm.
And what would happen is I'd go, oh, I've done all this stuff and no one's buying, or I'm not selling as much as I imagined. So you get disheartened. Whereas now I'm like, no, it's data. It's about numbers. I need to get more people through, so that then I can convert. So yeah, it's all work in progress.
I
Oh,
love
and then
that.
of course Facebook ads changed. Was it in like a few weeks ago? There was something, and yeah, it wasn't working. So
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, there's always tech stuff happening, isn't there?
Yeah, the joys of being in tech and working in tech is like everything is always changing. Um,
Yeah,
so I love that you said take emotions out of it and it's really about the data because then it helps you think very not cool not coldly, but helps you make very logical decisions on like, oh, where should I strategically now put my resources so that my marketing makes sense. I love that you're doing TikTok. um, I can send you some information after the call, but I think someone who I follow, and he's like a what we call indie maker, and he does these experiments with advertising on TikTok and different platforms, and he shares kind of his insights. So I think that would be helpful to you. So I'm happy to kind of send that to you as well. Um, and just to
yeah,
see like
definitely. Thank you.
how he's using TikTok to push his apps that he's made. And what's great about this guy is like he does all these little projects and he's not VC backed. So he's exactly kind of what you are doing, which is just like doing all these little projects and just seeing what
Yeah,
sticks. And I think he's done a lot of great things in the community because he always shares his process, which is what and I'm also trying to get
yeah,
into is like sharing the process, sharing the story. But yeah, he talked about using TikTok to share apps and get more visibility out there. So yeah, definitely will send you
yeah.
some
Sounds great.
content in that form. Yeah, really excited to see where you take all of this information.
Thank you.
So I want to come back to users because without users, there's no point in having an app. Where did you find these users to come onto your app
Oh,
when we were on Adalo?
yeah. So it's pretty much social media. So yeah, that was all, and that was pretty much organic. So I used Facebook ads in the beginning, and it got me some leads, but I didn't sell anything from there. And then where I got the most success was when I built those relationships. So with my business coach at the time, she was using it and loved it and shared it on her stories, and I got like 7 downloads like that. So that was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I used a couple of other people as well. But yeah, like I said, I chose some that were the wrong people, and then
Mm-hmm.
randomly I would just get, I don't know how some people found it. I would just check my phone. I was like, oh, there's been a download today. So I'm not sure what I
Nice.
did right there.
Uh huh. And then versus now that we're on Notion, how are you changing the way that you're finding users?
So I think it's I'm being more like putting my systems in place now, whereas before I was probably not planning it out as well. So yeah, I haven't got that many users in there yet, but I'm putting a lot more time into my planning and like writing my email sequences. So um, a lot of the time I was trying to just sell straight up like as a promote type thing, whereas now I'm trying to do more warming up my audience and getting them to get onto my email list so that I can sell that way. So I had was it like 1,200 on my email list. So yeah, it's not too bad in that way, but I'm focusing on doing it like that. And I think also I did try lead magnets before, but I used things like I had a mini biz audit, which never converted. And I also had a small business checklist, which also didn't really convert. And I was thinking, it's not fun enough. Like, I need something that, like, people want to go, ooh, like, for me, quizzes work. I always fill in quizzes. So that's where I got that idea,
Mm,
just to kind of get people involved. And I think when you tell someone that they don't need something, then quite often they go, oh, well, but now I want it. So Yeah,
Yes, reverse
there's three
psychology. Yeah.
answers to the quiz that I do. So one is that you sound like you already got yourself sorted, so you probably don't need the app. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's the one that you definitely need it, and then there's the one where it could definitely be beneficial. So yeah, really excited. I'll have to keep you posted on how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I think it'd be a great concept to kind of check in with you like 6 months down the
Yeah,
line and see like where you are now that you have the sleep magnet and everything kind of set up on Notion and like with the new process. I think this would be such a great story to kind of track. Like,
yeah,
we do a little episode every 6 to 8 months and just kind of check in and see. I mean, time allowing because we're all very busy, but I think it would be great to kind of look back and have these kind of little snapshots of key learnings.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
And I think
awesome.
along the way, like there was so many times I just wanted to give up. I was like, oh my gosh, like no one's invested in my idea. And I got a bit sad at times, and then I kind of picked myself back up and was like, nope, remember what I'm trying to do. I really want to help these people because back in when I was 23 and I was trying to run a business, I couldn't find what I wanted and I needed that help. So yeah, I think remembering your why was a huge thing for me. To keep on going and going. Yeah, yes, I have invested a lot of money into it, but I've still got a long way to go.
Hmm. But that's all part of the journey, really. And
Yeah,
finding your why. I remember is like the very first thing we built. Like your very first page was your golden
yeah.
circle. So definitely check that app out. We'll put the link, of course, to your Notion page or whichever your landing page on our YouTube channel. So,
Cool,
is there
thank you.
any thoughts that you want to kind of wrap up with?
Um, I think that I don't regret anything. I loved the process of learning. So if you're looking at building an app, I think work out what functions are the most important because that's potentially what I didn't do. I got into the excitement of it, so realizing that one of the functions I really needed, but I didn't focus so much on. So working out what's the most important because sometimes you can't have all of them. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
wait.
Yeah.
And talk to lots of people about different platforms because now there's so many available.
Yes.
So or like you said, what was your tech deck? I was like, there was some things in there that I didn't quite understand. Like I got Airtable confused me a bit. So finding the right technology for you. And I think that's where Christina, you're amazing because you love doing that research and helping out to go, oh, this will work, and let's try that. And and also I think having a budget is a good idea because obviously I blew my budget completely when I went to Kajabi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, having an idea of how much you're willing to spend in that like research and development stage.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, that's a really important part. And in my proposal, I now include these are the things that you need to think about. It's not just really about building your app. Think about
Yeah,
marketing. You think about how you're going to take the payments, and if those platforms will take either a cut or so a portion of whatever you're invoicing your clients, or are you paying them like a job a monthly fee, and then also like the platform fees, developer fees, all of that. I literally give them a laundry list of like, you need to make sure you know that these are really a big part of building your app. It's not something like, oh, I just, give you this X amount of money and then get this done. So there's like a lot of
yeah,
holistic thinking that you need to do when it comes to like actually bringing a product to life. So I love that
yeah,
final gold nugget. And I think, yeah, finding the right platform is really important. And that's honestly where designers/developers come in because I'm always testing out platforms and figuring out what's good and what's not. I spend a really
yeah,
big portion of my time like just playing around with new things, and then I like make a mental note like, oh, this could be a good fit for X, Y, and Z. And then when a
yeah,
client comes to me and says, hey, I want to do this, I will say, okay, this is probably what's best based on my experience. I fooled around in this platform. This is what I got out of that. So
yeah.
thank you for that kind of insight, because now that I know that all the time that I spend kind of fooling around on these platforms are definitely worth it something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
Like
feel
I
like,
couldn't have done all of that. So all
yeah,
very thankful for you helping me out through the process.
Yeah. I definitely feel like there's some days where I'm like procrastinating and not actually doing work, and I'm just in a new software playing around. And then I'll get really mad at myself, like, wait, I have client work that needs to get done, but I've
Yeah,
spent my time, working on this instead. But it'll
yeah.
eventually come back
I
full
like to
circle.
have
So
my Jade time where I'm allowed to have all my tabs open and like
yes,
experimenting. And but I think also with tech, the hard part is it changes so much. Like I don't
yeah,
know if you've had much to do with Squarespace, but I've just changed over my Squarespace from 7.0 to 7.1, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm like,
mm,
why did I not do this earlier? But
yeah,
yeah, it's all takes time.
yeah, absolutely. And I think going back to what you said, like knowing what you want, like the features
Yeah,
that are like the must have, like there's like really big star next to that one. That's also something that I try to really communicate with my clients and the teams that I work with. Is like, okay, let's group these two into what you must have and what you think is would be a nice to have, but is not going to make or break, the app. I think having, and then
yeah,
like making
definitely.
sure that we are focused on those like two or three must haves, because mostly everyone is starting out building, like yourself, a MVP, which is like the minimum viable product. So we're starting out,
Yeah,
we're still validating. We don't need 10 other features out there confusing people. We just need to focus on these three, make sure people actually use it, and then build out from there. Because you need to think of it as like, I think a lot of people think it's like a one and done process where it's like, here's a
yeah,
laundry list of features I
definitely
want.
not.
It's not a lot. I know. It's really a process. We start to build the foundations, and then, in, like you said, every 6 months, every year, we're building out new features, and then, that's the process. But before you kind of dump money into it, let's try out kind of your idea and make sure that we have validated everything, and make sure that the users like what they're using and are actually using it, and make sure you get your first 100 users. Um,
Yeah,
I think that's like the best advice I can get to people is like, you want to build an app, let's find your first 100 users with
yeah.
whatever we're going to build together, and then kind of go from there. So, yeah, thank you so much for this great episode. I think I got a lot of kind of gold nuggets out of this conversation, and so I'm really excited to kind of see where you go from here. And I would love to check back in a few months' time and just kind of see kind of where everything is after that.
Yeah, awesome. Would love to. I've got my little goals sit over here that I look at all the time, reminding me to stay focused. But yeah, we'll definitely catch up maybe in February when I've done my launch and I've gone into my launch a lot calmer than previously.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today. And just to give everyone a quick intro again, Jade is a business owner, a creative, and she also has amazing photography. If you want to kind of check those out, we'll also link her website below. And yeah, definitely check out her app landing page, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, Jade.
Cool. Thanks for having me.